streaming preparing.
कर दूं?
Yes, we are live.
Hello everyone and welcome to International Institute of Hotel Management here in Pune. My name is Kunal Mehtre and I'm going to talk about food and beverage service as a department in a hotel. Now we all know a good 5-star hotel works on the 4 core departments. One of them is food production, which is the kitchen. Another one is the housekeeping, which takes care of the cleaning of the rooms and the public areas. The next one is the front office, which takes care of the check-in and the check-outs once you reach the hotel, the reception area that you see, and of course the fourth one, which is food and beverage service department. So all these departments, along with the other ancillary departments, make sure that the hotel is working fine and it is running to its optimum levels. Okay. So today, what we're going to be discussing in detail is more about the opportunities that food and beverage service department offers for a hospitality student. Okay, before we get there, let me quickly tell you what exactly food and beverage service department is. Okay, so food and beverage service department as such is a department where you actually get a chance to serve the food in the restaurant. Okay, so once you have a chef who's cooking a nice, creative and a nice looking dish, what a food and beverage service personnel would do is get that dish from the kitchen and serve it very gracefully in the restaurant. Okay, so the art of serving and art of personalizing this particular service is food and beverage service department. The guest can get a whole lot of a much better meal experience as such when you're talking about food and beverage service department, where the server is actually getting some food served. Okay, rolling. So you're actually taking care of the whole experience that a guest would get once he or she enters the restaurant, right from the moment the guest enters and sits on the table to the moment the guest actually leaves the restaurant, and probably also gives feedback about how the experience was. So all of these aspects are covered in food and beverage service department. Now talking about the opportunities that this particular department offers, to start off with, let's have a look at the traditional opportunities, or let's say if you're working in any good 5-star hotel, what sort of opportunities you would get. So you start off with, ideally a restaurant would have a manager, so it's a restaurant manager that you would have, which is a good position that particular department offers. So restaurant manager is in charge of the whole place or the restaurant, whatever the number of tables that would be there. Like we see here, we've got a training restaurant which sort of has almost 45 to 50 covers in this particular restaurant, and the care that is taken in this restaurant, the person who's responsible is a restaurant manager. Okay, to start off with, and of course as you move up the hierarchy, you can become an assistant food and beverage manager or a food and beverage manager itself, and then of course move on to become a general manager for that particular hotel. So a wonderful array of opportunities this particular department offers. We're going to be talking about more in details about sub-departments in food and beverage service department. So we also go to the bar and talk to one of our faculty members here, what opportunities bar would offer, and of course interesting opportunities that are now coming up, which are probably, when we are seeing post-pandemic stage, you will have a lot of other opportunities which can be offered to a student of this particular department. So we also discuss more in detail about that. I wanted to start off today's discussion with a profession that's very popular amongst the food and beverage or the hospitality students, which is of a sommelier. Okay, now it's a very fancy looking French word which is called as sommelier. The person who's taking care of the wines in a restaurant is called as a sommelier. Now the particular person who's in charge of wines not just is responsible for making the wine list, but also responsible for what kind of food can go along well with that particular wine. So it's just not about picking up the best wines from the world, also in charge of ensuring that this particular wine would go well along with the food menu. So the chef and the sommelier would sit along together and decide what sort of wine can be best suited for the food as well. Sometimes it goes vice versa, because there's a nice wine in the restaurant, the chef can create a particular dish which is more suitable for that particular wine, and then curate the menu. Okay, so it's a very interesting career opportunity where the person can actually travel to various places. We all know Europe is called as the Mecca of wines, where actually you can explore wines from different countries like France, Germany, Portugal, Spain, and old world wines from these countries, vintage wines from these countries can be best paired with the wonderful food that can be offered in the restaurant. So a very versatile and very dynamic career opportunity, I would say, as a sommelier, which is offered in this department. Okay, some of these wines can be really expensive, and the role of a sommelier is just goes beyond selecting a particular wine. So a sommelier can be actually actively involved in talking to guests or talking to customers when they come to the restaurant, suggesting them different wines that would be best suited for the food that they're having. So you're also trying to explore the sales or the marketing side of food and beverage service, where you're trying to sell good wines to your customers when they come into the restaurant. Having a good conversation with them also brings up the whole aspect of a good meal experience that they would have in the restaurant. So apart from, of course, selling the wines, you're also trying to enhance the time that is being spent by guests in the restaurant. So that's also a very interesting concept, where people or professionals who like making new friends, or like making or like talking to people from different cultural backgrounds. Okay, you can explore that aspect of it as well in this department. So you're always at the front of the house, talking to guests, talking to people, talking to customers, and trying to suggest them good wines and good options that would be there for pairing along with their food. So that's another very interesting career opportunity that a food and beverage service person would have. Okay, let's talk now more about the bartending aspect of it, and we've got one of our faculty members who's going to be joining us in a minute to talk more about it. So let's move on to the bar and then get more knowledge about bartending as a profession under food and beverage service department. All right. So to talk more about hospitality industry and the opportunities that we have in food and beverage service department, we have along with us Mr. Nilanjan Karmarkar, who is the faculty for F&B service here at IIHM Pune. Welcome to the session, sir. So would you like to tell us more about what opportunities food and beverage service department offers for aspiring students in the bar?
All right. So yes, bar is one of those areas which is very interesting.
Okay.
But keeping ourselves on the front end of the bar,
right,
we only feel that all right, it is very easy just to mix some ingredients,
okay,
and make a nice, beautiful mocktail,
right,
with nice garnishes. But it takes a very good amount of training,
okay,
and skills, of course, so that they actually can make this particular drink, knowing all the ingredients, explaining to the guest, and that is how the experience is built, and that is how we build in more better experiences for all the guests who are coming.
Okay.
Storytelling, knowing the ingredients,
right,
maybe some flaring,
okay,
which again
okay,
you can.
It's a skill,
yes,
isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Flair bartending, where you
Yes.
juggle the bottles
It's a
and
skill.
then
It's a skill.
make the drink.
Yes.
Also, please tell us, if you're making a drink, can you be creative in making so?
Absolutely, absolutely, sir. I mean, gone are those days where we are only sticking into only those classic recipes of cocktails and mocktails.
Right.
Now it is the world of contemporary drinks. So
right,
if you know the correct ingredients, if you know the flavor and the taste and the aromas of the ingredients,
okay,
you can at any point of time go ahead and make your own drink using the ingredients, and absolutely give a nice experience to the guests.
Okay, so it's very important to note here that if you're working behind the bar, like we see here, there's a mock bar here as well at our institute. You can be creative, you can be innovative with the kind of ingredients
Absolutely.
that you're trying to mix, and of course the student can use his or her own imagination
Correct.
to make that particular
Correct.
drink, isn't it?
Correct.
And sir, please also tell us about what opportunities this particular department, so let's say bar, where can a student or a professional from F&B service work after he's got a job in the bar?
All right.
Which areas?
Yes, yes. So hotels are of course there.
Hotels, yes.
I mean, they of course have got bars.
Right.
Cruise liners is one of the
Interesting.
great options.
So the student can travel as well. isn't it?
Absolutely.
While
So-
the cruise is on
Yes,
the
absolutely.
voyage, the student can actually travel
Yes.
along with the ship, and of course use his
Yes.
skills behind
And
the bar.
casinos. I mean, another
Okay.
great option.
Okay.
I mean, casinos
Interesting.
have got very nice contemporary bars.
Okay.
So having an experience over there also comes along.
Alright. Okay, very interesting career opportunities that we have where you're trying to work in a bar and make your own mocktails or cocktails or various drinks that are there. So thank you very much, sir, for spending time with
Thank you,
us
sir. My
and
pleasure.
sharing all that information.
Thank you.
you very much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Let's move on to another department and then find out more about food and beverage service opportunities that the student has. Thank you. So to take our discussion ahead for careers in F&B industry, we have along with us Mr. Tariqul Hussain, who's also worked with a very remarkable hotel chain, which is Taj. So Tariq sir, welcome to our session.
Thank you so
and
much.
Today we wanted to ask you about what career opportunities do a student have for let's say there are new and contemporary professions that are now coming up in our industry. So I've heard about a Q grader, which is related to coffee industry. I've heard about a tea sommelier,
Correct.
which is also a very interesting avenue that a student can explore. So please tell us more about these from your experience.
All right. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to the viewers. Yes, I would definitely address both the designation rather, or
Right.
both the professions rather you have just talked about. Q grader and tea sommelier, it's a trending profession in food and beverage service industry.
Yes.
That days have gone that people were only thinking of becoming a restaurant manager or the bar manager, the banquet manager in food and beverage department or F&B manager rather.
Yes.
So now people are exploring these areas more than the
Okay.
those 4 or 5
Very traditional. Yes, it was.
designations in
Correct.
food and beverage
Correct.
service. It's been often seen nowadays that restaurants are not only pairing their food with beverages, I mean to say wines or spirits, they are keen towards pairing their food with herbal teas, different teas.
Interesting.
Right. So even you'll be surprised to know there are teas which are made by rose petals. There are teas which are made by just tulsi leaf.
Flower-based.
Flower
teas.
based. Right.
Interesting.
Yes. Yes. So even the coffees, the
Okay.
coffees are no more the sachet coffee people appreciate.
Right.
People are going towards that instant make coffees, and now we are into third wave of coffee. We are not talking about third wave of coronavirus, but definitely third wave of coffee. revolution.
Artisanal coffee,
Absolutely.
isn't it?
Yes.
So, which is something which is very customized,
True.
based on the preference of the
Yes.
guest.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So, artisanal coffee is something very interesting concept that's coming up.
Yes.
So, where does the Q grader come in all this in this picture of third wave of coffee? You said and artisanal coffee.
Alright, so he is the person actually who knows anything and everything about coffee.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So while designing a coffee menu, you need somebody who has an expertise designing that particular menu, who knows from top, for example, espresso to the different varieties of coffee.
Okay.
So he is the gentleman Q grader. He tastes before the coffee is possibly
Sent to the market.
yes, sent into the market or even listed on the menu.
Okay.
Similarly for the tea sommelier.
Right.
So he is an expert in his own way
Right.
of exploring teas. So
Okay, interesting. So the person who actually going to taste and finalize a particular blend or a type of coffee, it could be a single origin, it could be from different places,
Right.
different regions, and then that particular blend or a single origin coffee or tea can be put out in the market by a particular brand. So
Yes.
well-known coffee or tea brands can do that for their own products. So that's a very interesting
It
avenue.
is,
And
it is.
you're using different senses. So you mentioned about tasting. So you need
Yes.
to be very good with the palate that you have.
Definitely.
And of course the smell of
Smelling, yes.
smelling of the coffee or
we
the
always appreciate, before
Correct.
you taste something, you look at the beverage.
Exactly,
Look at the beverage,
exactly.
how it is
So,
looking. Yes.
very interesting. So rather than the traditional recruitment that's seen in hotel industry.
Yes.
Now I think this is a very interesting and a very popular option that students can explore, which is related to, let's say, being a Q grader or a tea sommelier.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, sir, for
Pleasure.
sharing that information with us and with our viewers here. And I'm sure as we go ahead post-pandemic, more and more opportunities in food and beverage service department are going to be opening up, and I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot of other, avenues which students can explore.
Right.
Thank you for sharing that information.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright then, so we've discussed about Q graders, we've discussed about tea sommeliers. We also did, have a chat about what bartenders are in food and beverage service department. Let's now look at more interesting career opportunities that this particular department offers. And to talk more about that, we have along with us Mr. Damnath Bhagwat, who's also faculty here at IIHM Pune for food and beverage service. So welcome to the session, Mr. Bhagwat, and we would like to know more about what are the different career avenues that food and beverage service department as such offers. So I've heard about a person being a brand ambassador for a particular brand of spirit. Okay, that's something which is very new into our industry, which is coming up really nicely, and students or aspiring professionals from this particular industry are getting attracted towards it as well. So the word itself, brand ambassador, is very attractive. Okay, so what exactly this particular profile offers, and what are the benefits of working as a brand ambassador? Please tell us something more about it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kunal, and hello everyone there. It's a wonderful question, I think, to you as a person. Imagine, you get an hospitality graduate and later on you become part of any alcohol company, right? And you present that particular brand in the market, right? You are representing that particular brand in the market as a head of particular brand. So let's assume like you are launching any particular new product coming in your market, and you are representing that. How fascinating it would be.
It will be, definitely. So talking about big brands in the alcohol industry, like you correctly mentioned. So for example, if it is Sula Vineyards, or let's say if it is Diageo, or Pernod Ricard for that matter.
Right.
So if a person is working as a brand ambassador for these brands, you actually get an opportunity to launch the new products that these brands have in the market. So can you please tell us something new which has recently been launched by Sula, for example?
Absolutely. Every brand, if you look at, you go to the market, you get a great opportunity to meet variety of distributors.
Okay.
You get a variety of basically clientels, right?
Okay.
You get basically different food bloggers to meet, right?
Right.
And you are the person basically who is talking about your product in the market.
Okay.
Right? You will be the one who will be guiding all your guests which are there in the event for the particular product. So I think it's very amazing opportunity for any hospitality graduate.
Right. So recently I've heard Sula has launched a new wine in the market, which is I think they've rebranded a previous one, which is Rasa, and the Source, which is also, I think, not more than 6 months old, if I'm not wrong.
No, it's quite older.
Okay.
It's more than 2 years old
More than
right
2
now.
years.
But then they have recently changed the look of their product
Label.
called Rasa. Right.
Okay, so there's some level of rebranding
Right.
there as well.
Absolutely.
So let's say a brand ambassador who's working for Sula Vineyards, will he or she be responsible for launching that in the market and talking
Yes.
more about?
Definitely,
Okay.
yes. So he's the person basically who is the face of the company, we can
Face
call
of
it
the
out.
company.
Right.
So this is probably more inclined towards the sales and marketing aspect of it.
Definitely.
So a very
Definitely.
important point to note here is that when you're trying to work in food and beverage service as a department or as a professional in the department, you also get an opportunity to explore your showmanship, your skills with the sales and marketing as such. Okay, so that's another interesting opportunity which this department offers. And then moving on ahead, you just mentioned about food bloggers.
Right.
I think that's also a very interesting concept, which is probably not more than 3 or 5 years old now. So food bloggers, food critics for that matter, and even more interesting is a photographer who would probably click photographs. We are all very fascinated by those videos that we see or photographs that we see on Instagram or Facebook, which have got wonderful combination of colors, and of course there's a whole lot of other technical things that a photographer would take care of when he's trying to click a food related picture. So these are, I think, a very interesting, opportunities
Right.
that can be put forward for a professional who is from food and beverage service. Can you please tell us more
Yes,
about
sure.
that?
I think it's again a great question. We as a hospitality graduate, basically, we don't see our student limited to the hotels or the restaurants.
Okay.
Right? Students, if you have like potential, if you like something, apart from serving food and beverage or preparing food and beverage, definitely you can look forward for visiting the restaurants, reviewing about their food and beverages.
Okay.
You can put your own blogs, and nowadays
Right.
we all know that how these bloggers are basically demand in the market, right?
Right.
In fact, all these good restaurants would be inviting these bloggers to have their food, have their particular experience of food and beverage,
Right.
and they wanted you to write about their food and beverage.
Exactly. And a student from this particular industry or department, I'm sure will also have the technical knowledge.
Right.
So let's say if you've been served a particular, let's say a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian dish, then in fact more technically about how that sauce is made, how that gravy is made, what is the kind of the garnish that is being put on it, and the kind of balance that the particular flavors of that dish need to have. So technically you're more sound in terms of writing than someone from a person from the non-hospitality industry. So along with the skill of having good academic knowledge, your writing skills are also developed.
Right, and it's very diversifying your industry altogether. You're not only, like as I said, hospitality professional. Rather, you are a great salesman. You are a great marketer. You are a great brand ambassador yourself.
Correct.
And apart from that, if you have photography skill,
Right.
if you have something like writing skill, that would be like always add-on factor.
It's an added
which
skill,
would
exactly.
definitely in your career in this particular industry.
Definitely. I think a good amount of opportunities that we've seen in the food and beverage service industry so far with the kind of members that we've brought in today. So thank you very much, Mr. Bhagat, for sharing all that information. And I'm sure that piece of knowledge that you've shared with our viewers today, who are now going to be thinking about, what are the different kinds of opportunities apart from the traditional recruitments that we've seen in the industry. There's a whole lot of them, I'm sure, which they'll try and explore.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kunal, and it's always a pleasure to talk about hospitality industry, which is always fascinating. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
IIHM. For a great